Let's chop them down, Gavin. We got some big ones. So Ubisoft Forward had their event where they showed off some stuff, some good stuff. So we got there was an overview from TheVerge.com. Jay Peters has the article here. The four biggest announcements from Ubisoft Forward. Ubisoft, like many other video game companies, was unable to host its typical in-person press conference at E3 in June due to COVID-19 pandemic. Instead, it hosted a digital event on Sunday called Ubisoft Forward, revealing more about its upcoming games. Those included Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Watch Dogs Legion, its newly announced battle royale shooter Hyperscape, which I did try, I forgot to mention that. But yeah, as far as the other stuff they announced at the Ubisoft Forward, there's Far Cry 6. So I have the trailer, if you want to go into it, but how did you feel about them finally, because there was that leak of the main villain, but how do you feel about them continuing the story and like the decision to take over this, this new island and going back to that?
So something I'd like to point out is, so when we hung out on Saturday and we were having a conversation about the leak for Far Cry, and honestly, I don't feel like the leak took away it. Well, maybe it did a little bit. I think it would have been cooler if like we were trying to guess what this was.
Sure.
The production values, that being said, the production values were off the fucking chain. That intro looked like an intro to a TV show. Like a high quality one.
Oh, yeah.
And I was saying when we were talking that these games are rooted in being in the wilderness. No matter what, they're rooted in the wilderness. Where the last one was in the middle of what the fuck, Oklahoma or something like that. Montana,
Midwest somewhere. Yep.
Tropical islands, middle of Africa. And I said they can't really stray and be in the middle of a city. And Far Cry 6 came out and said, "Fuck you. We're going to be in the middle of a city." I'm sure there's going to be a ton of tropical stuff, but they showed some. Right. The screenshot showed some high-rise buildings, like legitimate. There's going to be 2 different biomes that you have to deal with. And I'm going to be super curious to see how that affects gameplay, because that will affect gameplay. We've got something we haven't dealt with before.
And yeah, no, I'm super excited.
Yeah, in a series that's been sort of stuck in its own sort of thing. So yeah,
I would say you're right. It has been stuck, but I guess I didn't mind the formula they were following, where they're going to these tropical or like lush environments, with vegetation, with trees and that kind of thing. And that was the schematic. I didn't mind that because I think they always push the story and the villains forward. But also when they bring up the idea of let's tackle a city, I love that even more. So, and then you add on the Breaking Bad character. His name is Giancarlo Esposito. He plays Gus Fring. They're just getting this AAA talent. I mean, I'm just so fucking stoked for this.
Yeah, they're pulling out all the stops. Something I would love to see. I was honestly thinking about this the other day. I'm like, you've never had a game take really the first person perspective of a child. Like, there's no like being a short person in a game. When's the last time you had to look up? So it would be so interesting if you get to play as a kid and you're doing all this terrible shit. It's a little bit lower. And that weird perspective that would give. That being said, I wonder if there's rules and regulations within the industry where they won't let you play as a kid murdering people. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And they've come out and they've talked to the main dude who plays a villain. Some of the devs have talked about how you are playing some kind of freedom fighter, but you're going to interact with Gus Fring or with the main guy, Giancarlo Esposito. You're going to interact with that character, with that villain, but also the kid as well. So they're kind of playing with the fact that, you're not playing as the kid, but he's kind of in the wings, and seems like you have this element of choice, whether like what you decide to do dictates how this kid, whether he turns just as evil as his dad or goes another route. It seems like they're playing around with that idea. No, that's not confirmed, but like in the trailer, it seems like they're giving you, there's some kind of choice element, because the kid isn't yet villainous. It's just his dad who is, and he's a kind of having him under his wing, and so that's a debate as your other character, because you're playing a freedom fighter, and so you're not going to be that kid, but will you influence the trajectory he goes on?
That if that's true, then that's incredibly interesting. That's a story that I don't think has been told in games.
Yeah, possibly
and that's sort of something that kind of brings it back to like, and that was an interesting element with Far Cry 3, which is your character grows to love killing people. Like you find out that you're a crazy person or you're a psychopath, right? You find out that that's your jam. So this would be sort of another cool, path through something that hasn't been talked about before. That could be That could be incredible. Really.
That could be dope. And I do like some of the interviews. I think IGN did an interview with the main villain, and he's comes from this like more of a classically trained actor. So he was
Yeah.
more interested in that character, this villain, because he's more, they're trying to humanize him a bit more. And he's not just like a crazy, insane person. If you look at Far Cry 5, those three like religious zealots that you fight against, they're insane. They're taken over by their religion. And all the other villains in like Far Cry history are always just crazy. They're kind of like Blue Point or Blueprint crazy.
Since 3. 2 had a really cool subtlety where you thought the villain was crazy, but he's actually the good guy. Spoiler alert for a 15-year fucking old game. But
I never finished it. Yeah.
That was a really cool plot. Halfway through, you find out the guy that you've been hunting this whole time rescues you from a burning building and points out that, yeah, I'm not the bad guy.
Gotcha. Well, I guess, yeah, since 3 then, they've always kind of followed this, and it's still interesting, but they're just kind of like these just standard like crazy characters, and this seems like they're trying to build this more humanized. Yeah, he's still, a villainous character, but they're trying to flesh out him more as a character. I dig that this time around.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. He's definitely, yeah, the whole like handing his son a grenade and pulling out the pin thing, like I don't know what to like.
Right. No, that's bad.
That a good guy, but
no.
That's at the same time. That's like we have like people here in America that'll like shoot the dog just to show that all things die. It's like that's what we could have done this a different way. We could have waited till grandma died and then just okay. Well, that's all things. I don't okay.
No, you're right. The trailer doesn't show that as much. It's just the interviews with that main dude. He's talking about that's what drew him to that character, is that they're really letting him flush out that idea. But no, super stoked. As far as like locking down a date, they did give a February 18th, 2021 date. It's coming to current gen and next gen.
I promise you. It's not hitting.
Yeah. Well, Far Cry 5 was what? That was last year or the year before? Maybe the year before, right? Like 2018?
I would like to say at least the year before, but I don't know.
Because it was that DLC that was maybe 6 months where you played against the sisters and that like post-apocalyptic. So you're right. Maybe they won't hit this time frame, but that's what they're saying. It is projected to be on Stadia as well and PC. Who knows with Stadia? Because I don't know what the fuck's going on.
That's right.
Over there.
Yeah, they mentioned Stadia. I think the other big thing that we talked about is when we watched the Ubisoft press conference. I never really felt like any of these games looked next gen, and then you showed me the screenshots of this. Now we haven't seen it in motion yet,
right?
But this looks next gen. I don't know if this is a next gen exclusive. It's fucking gorgeous, and in first person, you have to put in that much more effort to make it fucking gorgeous. So
yeah, you're totally right. Really, if they're using, which I imagine they are, that same engine that Far Cry 5 was on, I'm not sure if that was Unreal, what have you, but it looked really gorgeous on current gen consoles, and then on PC it looked even better. So if they're just using that same engine and just working on it, they can really push it to the limit. And then of course, if you're seeing, I don't know if those screenshots were the next gen releases or the PC releases. Usually they use like the PC to kind of show off the stuff first, but sure. I imagine it's still going to be just on par with Far Cry 5 with how detailed it was.
The other thing worth noting, well, I don't know if it's worth noting, but I as far as CG trailers go, holy fucking shit, was that gorgeous. There are definitely points where you could forget that was CG. That's how much rendering time they spent. Like, there was clearly more time at the rendering farm for this trailer than there was for the entirety of the Hobbit trilogy. And I would almost put money on that. Like, this was stupid pretty. The only thing that broke my immersion was the mouth movements of the one guy, the guy from Breaking Bad. Something about his mouth looked unrealistic, and that's been an issue in these CG trailers forever. If we can fix whatever that mouth movement issue is, dude, Uncanny Valley was almost defeated this weekend.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at what Naughty Dog does with their motion capture stuff, and that's in-game, those look, I mean, that's cream of the crop right there. So it is doable. I think we're going to see that this next gen coming up, they're really going to push that limit of that Uncanny Valley, and maybe it is a thing of the past. We'll see.
Yeah. That looked gorgeous.
Cool. Now, this next one wasn't as gorgeous, but it's kind of standard. It's the Valhalla. They showed off quite a lengthy, gameplay trailer, which is cool that it was actually gameplay this time. A lot of it did leak last week, but they had some details. So really, they just showed off more of the game. They locked down a November 17th date, and it's on current gen. Still no date or no locked in date for the next gen releases, but they have confirmed this will be a free upgrade if you do buy this version of it.
It looks, we say not like that the greatest looking, but that being said, I think that came from our little conversation. If it doesn't look next gen, and I would argue, yeah, it doesn't. It looks a lot like Rise Son of Rome or some other games. That being said, it is really pretty.
Yeah.
I wouldn't kick it out of bed for eating crackers. That's for sure. Yeah, it doesn't look next gen. Looks gorgeous, and from the impressions, watching a few videos on people who got to play it for hours, I think something really, really cool, and I hope this gets to be a trend, is Ubisoft stream these games via cloud, like I would love for Microsoft to do, but they stream via cloud to tons of content creators to be able to play these games via, I always forget what this service is called.
Is it Uplay, or is that just the name of, they have another, do they have a cloud thing, or is that just the marketplace for buying the games? But I'm not sure if they have their own kind of proprietary
Photon. I want to say it was Photon. No, not Photon. Okay. What's it called? Ubisoft.
Have other games released like that with Ubisoft?
Possibly.
Anyway, I haven't heard of that, but it would be dope.
Yeah, there's this really cool, like, it's not quite a cloud service, and this is something I was looking into it honestly the other week, because when I was talking about, like, me working on the game and testing with you remotely, there's this service where I could run it on my machine and just stream a feed to you, and it'd work just as good, if not better, than the Steam play together system.
Gotcha.
And people have been using it to just stream their work PCs to their home PCs, so they can have all that stuff at work. They don't have to upload it to their own computers, and that's what they use to stream this to content creators. So they got to play it. They said that the connection was pretty darn good, and gotcha. So that was really cool that so many people got to play it, and they got to play a big chunk of it too. And then when it was all done, Ubisoft sent them over the footage so that they could show that. So there's tons of coverage from this content, from this, and probably more so than we would have gotten at an E3. The fact that they can let a single content creator play for 4 hours per game, that's Watch Dogs for 4 hours, then Valhalla for 4 hours. You would never get that at an E3. That is impossible.
Right.
So, damn, cool on Ubisoft for doing that.
I wonder if that's also them being pushed by the realities of like COVID right now, where they have that's the only way to get this out in a fast way to have content creators play this. But either way, I mean, the infrastructure is there where they can do this kind of thing.
Yeah. The other thing I thought was cool, apparently, the person I was watching, ACG, they kind of mentioned that the people that, for every person playing, they had somebody there watching in case they had any questions, but they would let them fuck around and also fuck up. So they were like, they wouldn't tell them how to do something unless they asked, which I thought that's great. That's a quality demo. And then ACG was trying to break Watch Dogs Legion the whole time he was playing it. So he was trying to so apparently these quests to like recruit the people, I don't mean to jump immediately to Watch Dogs Legion, but apparently the quests to recruit people, there's a lot of steps to them. They're a lot more complex than the initial trailer let on. He said, it'd be 3, 4, 5 step quests. And so that honestly increased your investment in that character. He mentioned one of his favorite characters they recruited. She has no special powers. She has none. She just has booty shorts and gambling debt, and that's her story. But he's like, but I worked for that. I worked for this character. She's mine. And then when it brings into like they try and bring in other elements to it. Like one person's like their wife was being arrested unfairly, so they came over and rescued their wife, and started doing these recruitment missions to bring her into it. So now you have this husband and wife team in with your crew, and it's just these weird. This game is so complex. There's a chance that, I mean, this is kind of the thing people are saying. There's a chance that they've actually done what they set out to do, which is insane. That should be impossible. This should not be doable. It's glitchy as fuck, but this game might exist.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing too. Some of the gameplay thoughts were that there are definitely glitches, and it's still, we have a couple months before this is supposed to come out this holiday season, but there is glitches, and I think we'd expect that. But if they can nail down the ability to have these characters, all the NPCs, if they're flushed out enough to make it interesting, then that's awesome. That's what they promised, and they'd be achieving that. That's pretty nuts. I did see, I think it was GameSpot had a gameplay overview. They're talking about it. One of the characters that they had acquired was their special ability. They just had a big fucking wrench. And that was the whole thing. It's like, I got a melee weapon and that's it, but like you can kind of choose who you have, or they have hacking abilities and other techniques. And so it's just cool idea to kind of create this, ragtag group of people that you fight with.
Well, I guess that's sort of the weird thing with it too. That sort of, and I think it's sort of systemic. It's sort of our brains are filling in the gap, but we're making these storylines with that. Like the girl that just had a gambling debt, and he's like, she's just that much cooler because that's her. Like we got these people out there with superheroes, but like the guy with a wrench, like it's this weird, strange sense of personality that our brains are making out of these characters. Fuck, this game might be good. Like that's so cool. The other thing he mentioned, so this is the part he was trying to break. So you can recruit apparently anybody. And he was trying to get a repeat story. He was trying to get a repeat recruit mission, and he didn't find one in 4 hours. And he was trying his damnedest. So yeah, maybe after 4 hours you can find another repeat story, but he was trying his best and he didn't get it. And that's crazy impressive.
Yeah. I imagine under the hood, they're doing a lot of, are they possibly like just generating the different like abilities and that kind of thing in the background? It's not all baked in. It's just kind of like dynamically, which I like that idea. If that's what's going on, that no playthrough is going to be the same, because you can find these people that are just, their abilities are randomly generated, which is, it's going to keep that idea of like replayability up, and all that, the difference between like your playthrough versus mine, we're going to encounter the different people with different sets of abilities.
Right. Yeah. It seems like they've really achieved that. People were saying that the gameplay variety is there. And like, yeah, you could have, the granny army like they promised you could, but it's like, why would you when you can have all these interesting casts of characters in your playthrough? And they're like, it's weird, but in that short amount of time, my little family started to feel like a family, and it was mine. And
yeah,
wow. Wait, what a technical achievement.
Although I want that granny army. I definitely, that's my first goal, is to build just a granny army of badass old ladies.
But they can't parkour. That's the issue. They can't properly parkour.
What if I find a couple old ladies that can? They still got some, movement in their knees. They're still not. Maybe they're ex-Olympic runners or something, and we're good.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. I do wish they mentioned. I guess the gameplay or the gunplay is not that great. But in the press conference, they showed off sort of very much like a John Wick / Leon the Professional style character. I mean, his name was literally Leon. He was wearing the Leon glasses.
Yeah.
So, but it would be cool if he had, a little bit more, like maybe he has some auto aim, or maybe he has something that, when you're playing him, he feels more like this lead assassin. Or maybe he does, and I just don't know because I haven't fucking played. But that's...
It's interesting because there was a lot promised. So yeah, I mean, you're right. We were very skeptical. It's like, how are you going to pull this off? But it seems like they're getting there. And now it's a matter of making sure the entire world, the mechanics, the gameplay isn't super buggy to take away from the fun you'd have acquiring this team and whatnot.
Right. Yeah, you do your 5 missions and the game bugs out, and then you don't get the character and you're just pissed.
Right.
So... I don't know. It looked like in the footage I saw, there was a lot of bugs, which is concerning since it is launching so soon. Those are going to be hard to iron out. It is possible they'll fix those post-launch, but...
Yeah, it's October. October 29th is what they're saying, so...
Yeah, I
mean,
guess the
we'll
thing
see.
that got me excited is multiple streamers are saying it was on their radar, but they didn't care, and then they played it, and then they cared. That's huge.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with the series in general, but especially this third one. Although what makes the third one interesting is that whole NPC mechanic. If they didn't have that, and if it was just like the same kind of style of gameplay than the last one, I don't know, it would not be as interesting.
There's literally nothing you could have done with that. Of course, what do they get? Can they make a sequel to this? If this achieves what they're wanting, you can't top this.
Yeah, it's interesting. I guess maybe they fully flesh out or like expand on the abilities you can have, how random the people you find are, like if they just work on that. But you're right. I mean, let's see if they can nail this, and then it's up to them to achieve the next one. But
yeah.
But the last thing they showed off, or one of the last things, was this. It was kind of a bummer because it's we've had a lot of teases of Tom Clancy of a Splinter Cell, reboot, and we got to see Sam Fisher again, but it's in this mobile game. So I have the trailer pulled up too. But it's for this one we go to Destructoid. Chris Moyse has the details. Tom Clancy Elite Squad mobile game. During yesterday's Ubisoft Forward presentation, fans of the Splinter Cell franchise once again walked away empty-handed. The only reference made to the long dormant stealth series was the appearance of its protagonist Sam Fisher in a new trailer for upcoming mobile title called Tom Clancy's Elite Squad. So the Elite Squad is a tactical RPG which utilizes a roster of stars pulled from various Ubisoft franchises. That's what's kind of cool with this one. So alongside Mr. Fisher, Elite Squad boasts stars such as the Division's Megan, Ghost Recon's Nomad and Weaver, and Rainbow Six Siege's Montagne, and Caviera. In the new trailer, some of these trigger-happy maniacs were seen rescuing, of all people, El Sueño, antagonist of Ghost Recon Wildlands. Sueño is a real bad dude, so Sam Fisher better know what he's doing. So he's like this tatted-up gangster, and he was the main protagonist in Ghost Recon Wildlands. But in the trailer... yeah, you're right, antagonist. Whoops. And then so the whole game, I guess you're trying to bring down this dude, and this like kid-friendly mobile game, you're breaking him out of jail in the trailer. But the trailer, I don't know if you've seen it. It looks very Fortnite-y. It's very cartoony, but it's a mobile game apparently.
Yeah, it looked like a tactical mobile game. Not for me, but
right. I do like the idea of them merging the different, characters, because it's really they could pull from that because they do have quite a bit of games now. You have stuff you can pull from Ghost Recon, from Rainbow Six Siege. You can do all that and make something. The end result isn't something for me, but I like that they have these characters now that they can mine from and build some kind of like battle all-stars kind of thing.
Right. I think the thing that surprised me for this whole press conference is that I for sure thought we were gonna get to see that weird Rainbow Six game they're working on. I forget what it's called, like Rainbow Six Infection or something like that.
Right. Yep.
I thought we were getting that, so it feels like it's been enough time. So yeah, that was
not even like a teaser, like a CG something, like nothing like that. But you're right.
Well, they did say they're doing another one of these. They didn't. I don't know if they said how far off, but they did. So maybe we'll see it at them then. That's sort of weird that they're spreading out the love like that. Maybe just some stuff wasn't ready in time. But yeah, I was surprised.
What?
Go ahead.
They did mention they're going to have another Ubisoft Forward too, so that was one of the things I missed in the article. So the company said it plans to hold another Ubisoft Forward showcase later this year. We only have 4 months, or 5 months before the end of the year, so they could potentially, maybe that's what they're holding off on, showing some of the like truly next gen stuff they're working on.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was just saying.
Gotcha. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. It's just weird because it's E3 season. You think they would have had it. But that being said, Corona's derailed a lot of shit, so maybe that was a factor.
That's true.
Yeah, that was a good solid press conference. I think the one comment I saw from a stream when I was watching it was like, you'd think after the Microsoft presser they would have learned like lead with gameplay, and they should have learned that lesson.
Yeah.
But the trailers at least were good. I thought the Watchdog trailer was good. Obviously the Far Cry trailer was good, and the Valhalla trailer. Shut the fuck up and show Valhalla.
That one I'm interested to see once people get in their hands what the reviews are, but it looks really dope. I'm interested in that whole like Norse kind of, and it's like it's taking place with real-time events or real life events where it's in England dealing with the Vikings and that whole clash. So it could be cool, but we'll see how they pull that off. But